If you're new in town or just new to this whole podcast thing, you're tuning in to Law by Night, the podcast that discusses all things vampiric with no fear of breaching the Masquerade. In this episode, we continue to unravel the mysteries behind the origins, motives, and cultures of the 16 ghostly guilds in the world of darkness. This episode will focus on the Harbingers Guild and their Argos Arcanos. Step Explorer, we had a large order of supplies arrive earlier today, and various members of the Phoenix Institute are still wading through it all. I would help, but I had a serious number on my back attempting to lift that box over there. I should really stop trying to handle the rocket launchers. Anywho, who would be right to assume that these materials and equipment are not exactly easy to come by, especially in this country? Can't rely on the standard methods of communication, which is much as I'm prepared to talk about right now. I'm sorry, but you can't forgive me, Dear Explorer, for not wanting to air said methods. You can never be certain who is watching us or what messenger is hiding with our numbers, but on to more pleasant numbers. Let us talk of the Harbingers Guild, who coincidentally serve as messengers in the Shadowlands. Not the smoothest segue, I know, but neither is their role within the underworld as they traverse through the Tempest, fulfilling their duty. Yes, you heard that right. The Harbingers frequently traverse the violent storms of the Tempest and the dark fluid substance within. It is very dangerous, yes, but the method the Harbingers provide is the third safest, the other two being travelling with a ferryman or, an even safer option, the Midnight Express. What I'm referring to here is the Argos Arcanos. I know that may put a weird smirk on your face, given the catalogue retailer of the same name, but you should know that both it and the Arcanos are named after the Greek city Argos, which is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, and the oldest in Europe. Besides this, Argos was famous for its horses. One of the legends of Argos was that of the famed Medusa slayer Perseus, who flew the winged horse Pegasus in his defeat of a sea monster. Viadon was the king of Argos in the 7th century BC and gained fame for his war expertise. Not such a funny name now, isn't it? From this, we can make plenty of assumptions about the Arcanos, but rather than beat around the bush, so to speak, let us get straight to the facts. Argos, in plain terms, allows the Harbingers, be it of the guild or someone just well-versed in the Arcanos, allow one to manipulate, navigate, and travel through the Tempest, both willing and unwilling. There have been many tales about more hostile Harbingers throwing or yeeting, as the kids would say, others into the Tempest, sucking them through the hills in the process. The tossed individual better start praying they can wield Argos themselves, cause their travel is going to be pretty dangerous and uncontrollable without it. It goes without saying that such a specific power within the Arcanos school of training feeds their shadow with angst. This, however, is a particularly uncommon usage, albeit a powerful one. Most use it to fly through the Tempest to find secret pathways from place to place and journey with reasonable safety between realms of the underworld, providing there is no ongoing maelstrom. Different Arcanos are required for that, as we touched upon before. Virtuosos of Argos can travel through the Tempest with ease without being attacked by swarms of spectres and plasmics. As one might expect, when it goes wrong, the Harbinger really has no control over their flight, frequently spitting out the user into an unknown location. You can imagine this would be doubly disastrous if the Harbinger is taking more than one person willingly and they link hands, coasting those nasty winds like a lost paranormal kite. Some also hallucinate amidst the Tempest winds, adding another layer of trouble. Just like the tale of the city of Argos I briefly described moments ago, Harbingers can sprout phantom wings to fly through the Shadowlands and Tempest, though it is not said to be terribly fast, something that has been described to us as something not much faster than jogging speed. If anything, those wings may only glide. Particularly powerful members of the Harbingers Guild, and them only, can produce metallic wings as a means of defense and attack as well, but this is a separate ability altogether. We conducted our own research to determine what precisely do these wings look like? Are they similar to the wings of an angel or demon, or something else entirely? Truth be told, the Phoenix Institute has been unable to find any conclusive evidence that these shapes are default or affected by the balance between psyche or shadow. Some evidence presented to us implies that the wings are bird-like or angelic, depending on your outlook on Waverly existence. Other and arguably more interesting research implies that the phantom wings the Harbinger can sprout take shape or form or what they please, or something connecting to their passing. You can conduct your own investigations with us and help us come to the truth. Whatever the case may be, one thing that is known is that the Harbingers Guild members are said to be exceptionally calm, swift, quiet, and collected. This is understandable, given their business involves the utmost concentration, travelling through the most inhospitable environments, a word I can never pronounce properly. Anyway, their constant traversal of the Tempest is said to stain the Harbinger's eyes jet black, and their corporeal clothes are said to slap about by the winds of their own emotions. We don't know for certain when exactly they were formed, but we do know that certain Harbinger folklore states the guild existed long before becoming the main Argos users, implying that they were not its inventors but simply took up the mantle, as it were. Its first members were said to be belonging to some of the first shipwrecks, continuing their seamanship in death. It is for this reason that a lot of maritime and then later aeronautical customs keep the guild together, despite the fact they are one of the least formally organised and the only and the most cynical follow such codes religiously. This makes sense, given they are a guild of travellers compelled by their Arcanos gift. This sentiment of lack of organisation has always defined the guild. During its heyday, the guild's hierarchy was ranked by one's navigational process and deeds of exploration and deeds, as decided by the Harbour Masters, the most experienced of the Harbingers Guild. Technically a faction within the guild, the Harbour Masters have retired from travel to operate in necropoli as lighthouse keepers, shipwrights, trade factors, weather forecasters, and occasional lifeboat captains. They once maintained relationships with the hierarchy, working closely with the Stygian government, but never becoming a part of it. On the topic of factions, its other blocks are divided up by their trade. You have the circuit riders, who travel between smaller necropoli either by themselves or with a like-minded circle, providing skilled service the hierarchy can't or won't. Animographers study the Tempest by exploring the darkest recesses of the underworld. Privateers are smugglers and traders, moving all sorts of guilds most likely to flout hierarchy lore and common decency for the right price. As one would expect, the privateers have a mixed reputation, which is something they enjoy. Finally, you have the emissaries who, unlike the privateers, nurture an aura of incorruptibility, serving not only as messengers but as trusted mouthpieces for wraiths who can't for themselves travel to conduct critical business. The most respected harbingers, though, are those for whom patrolling the Tempest and rescuing distressed wraiths is not a duty but a calling one, which yields a complex and not always warm relationship with the ferryman. Chances are it was this faction of the guild that educated the masses of the safe travel during the Great War and the other great maelstrom before and after the Fourth. It is not a terribly known fact that the Harbingers were this helpful during these trying times, especially with their harrowing name. It, however, is not as concerning here when you consider its meaning and point of origin. A harbinger is one who sees ahead in what is to come. It's derived from a Middle English word, herbinger, which means one who is sent ahead of a party to arrange lodgings. But what if their involvement with the revolt of the guilds? Their relationship with the hierarchy garnered the Harbingers the status or reputation, one could say, as the Wraithly Coast Guard, rescuing the lost, meaning that any conflict with their allies, the Stygian government, would be most reluctant. Well, any choice to fight in the revolt was down to the individual harbinger, rather than making it a whole guild mandate. That said, it was Harbour Masters who decided to pull out of the revolt of the guild shortly after the Maskers and Usurers backed out, though no doubt some wanted to carry on with the fight. The breaking of the guilds had next to no little impact on the Harbingers. Any necropoli that got rid of a Harbinger or Harbour Master quickly became play fiends of the next Maelstrom. It was simply business as usual, though it became more on an individual basis matter rather than a guild-centered basis, commanding a lot more respect than others. Whilst you may think this is down to them working closely with the hierarchy, which is certainly not a lie, the main reason for this is rather simple. They are unsung heroes of the underworld, saving those lost in the seas of the Tempest, always willing to save a lost soul, something spectres know all too well, taking full advantage of whenever they can. The slightest hint of connection with the Harbingers Guild is enough to keep most wraiths from messing with a Harbinger, especially when they are on duty. The Harbingers Guild are a guild defined by their dutiful wanderlust, consisting of messengers, heralds, explorers, and rescuers carrying out the work that no other can. Keep that in mind should you encounter one, dear explorer. It is bad luck to interrupt or interfere with a Harbinger at work, you know. To be kept updated, follow the Law by Night VTM Twitter and Instagram pages to find out when we upload each episode. You can also find out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and clicking on the little bell, as you'll be immediately notified when the latest episode is live. Until next time, farewell.